Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff, here in a rainy day here in Maine. So some quick developments going on in Russia right now, and things have been happening there pretty fast. And what I mean by that is that there's fighting going on right now with Prigozhin's military. He's going after Moscow. He wants to overthrow Putin, I guess, and Prigozhin is not a guy that really would be somebody you'd want replacing Putin, because he's a criminal and he's not a nice guy. Okay, but his army of people, who are, a lot of them are just criminals themselves. They just got them out of prison. They're marching up on Moscow, and so far he hasn't got a whole lot of resistance, but Moscow is barricading itself against this guy. They're putting mines down everywhere, and they got checkpoints and makeshift walls and stuff like that, and their tanks are out there. They see the shit coming, and people are reporting that a lot of private jets have been taking off. And a lot of people have fled Moscow, so they're expecting a siege here at a few short hours, and this could be the beginning of the end for Putin. Okay, it's most likely that Putin is not there. He may not even be in Russia for all we know. I mean, he might have left a long time ago and saw what was coming, but he's definitely not at the capital, excuse me, in Russia. But anybody who's anybody over there is basically packing their shit and leaving. And so it looks to me like, maybe, I mean, remember in one of the previous videos I did about Russia here, the most recent one, I said that, they were predicting that there was going to be a civil war in that country before the end of this year. Well, it looks like it's going to happen quicker than some people anticipated. And nobody knows how long the fighting in Moscow will take before Prigozhin gets control of the city. Probably not long. Okay, he's got about 25,000 to 30,000 people in his little army there. He's got, and as we all know, the Russian military itself is not like what we call state of the art. I mean, they proved that so much already, and they're just they've been just getting by, and of course Ukraine is taking advantage of this opportunity here of mounting a huge offensive, because they see that hey, things have turned against Russia in a big way, and now's the time that we can start taking back our stuff, because Russia's going to need its military back and not down in Ukraine, right? I mean, the country's got to come first. So, like I said, there's a lot of things happening very quickly. News is going to be coming out of there for the next few days. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be quick. But I can't say that that this is something that the Russian people didn't want. Because a lot of them were really upset with Putin, really upset with what he was doing with the military and doing what he was doing to Ukraine. And, they protested, and he sent his goons in there to arrest them and lock them up and everything. Well, there's a journalist, an American journalist over there. I don't know if you realize that, but he's been there for a while. They took him and they imprisoned him. He'd been trying to get out. They won't let him out. Well, if this all this shit happens, okay, they may just let him out anyway, whether the hell he did anything or not, because you know the government over there is pretty much in chaos right now. So their concerns over who they got in prison aren't really going to fucking matter. What they're going to want is stability, and maybe Prigozhin for a time will give him that stability, but he's not. I don't think the Russian people are going to let him stay in there as president. You know, they'll find somebody else, but you know, right now he's just the instrument of change that's begun. You know, that's what he is. So you know, it's really interesting to see history right now playing out on that scale over there, because there was really no other outcome for what's been going on over there. There really wasn't. And you know, for people to say that, oh well, the Russian people and all this, I mean, people like at Fox News that are sitting there praising Putin and everything, well, they're awful quiet now. Okay, they haven't been saying much of anything because the tables have turned against that man, and he's probably, I don't know if Putin will even bother coming back to Moscow. Like, I've been thinking that maybe he already fled Russia days ago, probably saw what was coming and left already. He hasn't been in Moscow for quite a while during the war in Ukraine, because he knows that people in the government, are really not you know, happy with him. Okay, and he probably heard grumblings of a possible coup attempt. I mean, there were a couple assassination attempts made on him, from what reports came out of there months ago. So it's not like he wasn't prepared, I guess, to run if the situation turned desperately against him. So I'm sure he hasn't been in Moscow for quite a while. But since taking Moscow means taking the control of the government, that's where Prigozhin's heading. And right now, the military in Moscow, like I said, is barricading itself. How much good that's going to do, I don't know. I mean, Prigozhin's got tanks. He's got, you know, typical military. And the siege of Moscow was about to begin. And I can't think of any other better time for Ukraine to step up its offensive and start to push the Russians that are there out. Okay, if they don't receive orders to turn around and head back, I can't see that they would stay, you know. So, you know, maybe finally people can start, you know, breathing a little bit better now, because, you know, we've all been on kind of like pins and needles through this whole thing. You know, because our country and its allies, I mean, we've been trying to help Ukraine out, you know, and people have been bitching, oh, you're spending too much money, you know. Well, how do you know that, you know, our governments didn't somehow provoke this, what Prigozhin is doing right now, to go over there? You know what I'm saying? How do you know that wasn't something that our countries did in order to speed things up over there? Because I mean, everybody knows if you're going to stop a war, you go after the fucking head of the snake, right? You know, and who's the head of the snake? Putin. You don't go over there and just, you know, give the defending forces more ammunition. You take the fight right to the fucking head. And so what better way to bring a stop to this war than what Prigozhin is doing, heading right to Moscow, you know, and taking out the government there. So, I mean, you know, I mean, if I was president of the United States, I mean, I certainly would have looked at that option as option A. It's like, how can we get rid of Putin? That's the answer. You know, we can't keep fighting a stalemate, you know, between Ukraine and Russia for endlessly, okay? Because that's self-defeating. Those people over there aren't going to last with that kind of war. So we're going to have to be the more aggressive one here and take the fight right to the Putin himself. And so I would think that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the United States was behind, you know, Prigozhin's push into Moscow. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And I would just say that, you know, I wish they would have thought of that sooner if this was are doing, but at least it's happening. And you know, hopefully maybe by the end of the year the war between Russia and Ukraine will stop, you know, and then the rest of the world can maybe back off on the aid it's been sending to Ukraine, so that way we can start sending them help to rebuild their country instead. I think that would be a good thing to see happen, because, you know, winter, you know, their electricity, their infrastructure is damaged pretty bad. I mean, the electricity isn't a constant over there. They had a very cold winter last year, and it's just, you know, they need help now on that end of the scale, more so, I think, coming up than the military side of things. So, as I tell you this now, things are going to change again. So I would suggest that everybody try to keep their eyes open for any news about what's happening over there in Russia, because it's big. I mean, it's a historic thing, just like when the wall fell. You know, it's just, you know, it's something to watch, because you're going to see some changes over there, and those changes will lead probably to some global changes, you know, especially with the sanctions and stuff like that, you know, depending on what kind of agreements are made between, you know, the West and Russia. So we'll just have to wait and see, but that's what's developing right now. So I'll talk to you again later, everybody, so take care.